All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this first lesson here on solving one and two-step equations. First off, solving one-step equations using addition and subtraction. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these examples here. So first one we have is a plus 4 is equal to 7. So as you can see up here, anytime we see that equal sign, that means we are going to solve. Okay, so we should have a is equal to something. Okay, now I want everybody to kind of think of this A right here as like a little present. So let's see, let's draw a nice little bow around them. Okay, we got a nice little present here, and we want to unwrap this present. Okay, which means we're trying to get everything else, all that gift wrap, all the strings attached there. We want trying to unwrap that and get it to just the present. So just this A. So the question I need to ask you guys here is, what is happening with this A? Is there anything going on with this A that we can unwrap or get rid of? Okay, and hopefully you told yourself, yes, there is a plus 4 here after this A. 4 is being added to A. So that is good to know. So we are going to focus here on this plus 4. Okay, now, since this is a plus 4, we are going to want to do the opposite. Okay, and we are going to want to subtract 4. Okay, so since we are adding 4 on both sides, since we are adding 4 to our present here, we are going to want to do the opposite, which is subtract 4, in order to get A all by itself. Okay, now, next thing here, we have subtracted 4 from the left side of this equation, which tells me we actually have to do it to the right side as well. So I know some of you guys have seen this before. Some of you guys do this. That's absolutely okay. If you don't do it as well, that is fine as well. So whatever we do to one side of the equation, we've got to do to the other side. So since we subtracted 4 over here, we are going to subtract 4 from over here as well. Okay. So our 4's here will cancel. We are going to be left with just our present, which is A. And we are going to say A is equal to 7 minus 4, which is 3. So we can say now that A is equal to 3. All right, and that would be our final answer for this example. Okay, let's go ahead and focus on this second one now. So we've got 95 is equal to G minus 25. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is find your variable. Okay, so there's my variable. I know my variable is G. I'll call it my present here. Okay, my present is G. So I'm trying to get this present here by itself, get everything away from the present. And so now I got to look at what is with my present. G minus 25. Okay, so it looks like 25 is being taken away from our present. Okay, so now what we need to do, likewise in the top part, we said, okay, well, we were adding 4, so we need to subtract 4. We need to do the opposite of whatever's going on here. So this is G minus 25, so we need to do the opposite of subtraction, which would be addition. Okay, we need to add 25. Now, we are not done yet. Okay, I notice in this top example, what we did to one side, we also did to the other. So I need to make sure that what I'm doing to this 25 needs to be done on the left side over here as well. Okay, so whatever I do on one side has to go to the other side as well. So these 25s here will cancel. We're going to be just left with G. And 95 plus 25 there, that will give us a solid 120. Okay, so 120 is equal to G. All right, moving on here. Okay, so again, we're solving. Let's go ahead and go through this. Now, the first thing I notice is I notice a minus. So we have negative 15 minus a negative t is equal to negative 45. First thing I noticed was this minus a negative. So for those of you at home asking yourselves, what does that mean, minus a negative? Okay, when you subtract a negative, that is the same exact thing as adding a positive. Okay, so if I say minus a negative, that can really just turn into a plus sign. So we're going to rewrite this equation here. Negative 15 plus t is equal to negative 45. So I hope that that's a little bit easier for you guys to read. I encourage you guys, anytime you run into a double negative, just rewrite the same exact equation and turn it to a positive. Okay, so negative 15 plus t is equal to negative 45. All right. Now, again, we're going to need to find that box. Find our present. Our present is t. So we got to ask ourselves, what's going on around t? Okay. What do we see that is with this t? So to me, I can see our equal sign right here. It looks like this negative 15 is on the same side as our t. Okay. So in order to get the t by itself, we're going to have to deal with this negative 15 one way or the other. Now, some of you guys are probably asking yourselves, well, it's not being added or subtracted. We don't really know what's going on with this t. I'm going to rewrite this another way for you guys to see. What if I wrote this as t minus 15 equals negative 45, okay? This is the same exact equation as this, okay? These are just switched, so this is the commutative property here. T minus 15 is equal to negative 45. Now, again, we're going to outline our box. We're going to outline our box. So there's our present there. Now what's happening to this t? Now it's much easier to see. We are subtracting 15 from our present. So we're going to need to do the opposite of subtracting 15. Okay, so the opposite of subtracting is addition. So we are going to add 15. Okay, and again, just like the last page, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So we are also going to add 15 to the right side. Okay, so now these will cancel. We are just going to be left with t, and we can say that t is equal to negative 30. T is equal to negative 30. Okay, now some of you guys may be questioning, why do we rewrite this? The reason I rewrote this is just to make it look a little bit easier, but we could also solve this as well. So I notice here that this t is our present. We need to get rid of this negative 15, okay? The important part of this right here is this negative. So because that this is negative, that tells me that we're really subtracting that 15. So anytime we see a negative and we need to get that thing over to the other side, and it's either addition or subtraction, just go ahead and add that 15. Okay? Because it's negative, we're going to want to add that 15. So these will cancel, and this is still going to give us our same answer here of t is equal to negative 30. All right? So I want you guys to pause this. Go ahead, give yourself a try here on the second example. Once you return, we will begin. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. 27 plus k is equal to 30. So there's two ways we could do this. We could either just look at it the way it is, or we could rewrite it and do it that way. So let's go ahead and just try to work with this the way it is. 27 plus k is equal to 30. Let's go ahead and outline our present here. So it looks like k would be our present. Now I'm trying to figure out here what is going on around this k. What is going on around this k? So to me, it looks like we've got this 27 here, right? We've got 27 here. And is this positive or negative? I'm trying to think. Hopefully you said positive, okay? The only way we would know that that's negative is if it had a negative in the beginning. So if this said negative 27, then we would know it was negative. However, we know that it's positive, okay? So in order to get k by itself, we know we have to do something with this 27. So we are actually going to change it from positive, and we are going to subtract it away or turn it to a negative, okay? So This is a positive 27, so we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to write a minus 27. Okay? Remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 30 minus 27. These over here, these 27s will cancel. We are going to get k is equal to 3. Okay? Very good. Let's see what we would have done if we were to rewrite this. So 27 plus k is equal to 30. We could rewrite this to make it look a little bit better on the eyes if we wanted to. Since these are both positive, we don't have any issues here. We can just switch these. So k plus 27 is equal to 30. Okay. Now this might look a little bit nicer to you guys, might look a little bit easier to solve, and that's okay. We would just need to subtract the 27 from both sides. This would be canceled, and this is going to give us k is equal to 3. Okay, so same answer as before. As you can see, we took two different routes in the way that we did this. Both of them worked. Both of them got us the same answer. So there is that. Okay, moving right along here. So now we're going to try to solve one-steppers using multiplication and division. Okay, so likewise with addition and subtraction, whatever we do, we got to do the opposite. So if we're multiplying, we're going to need to divide. If we're dividing, we're going to need to do the opposite, which is multiply. Okay, so again, we're solving here. We see these equal signs, and let's go ahead and get into it. So first one we have here is 3x is equal to 15. Okay, the question I have for you guys is 3x. What does that really mean? Well, 3x really means 3 times x. Okay, so that's what that actually means. So what is this? Is this addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? And hopefully you're saying multiplication. Okay, this is in fact 3 times x equals 15. This is multiplication. And in order to solve this, we are going to need to do the opposite. So we are multiplying here. So we are going to do the opposite of multiplying, which is divide. So we're going to go ahead and divide this by 3. And we are going to do the same thing to the other side. So we're going to divide both sides here by 3. 3 divided by 3 just gives us 1. So we're going to be left with x is equal to 15 divided by 3, which is 5. Okay? So recap there. We had multiplication, so we had to do the opposite, which was divide. Let's go ahead and take a look at this second example here. So where is this present? This present right here. There's our present, which is n. And the question is, what's going on with our n? Okay, what's happening to it? It looks like it's in a fraction. It looks like it is n over 8 is equal to negative 1 over 4. Okay, so in order to do this problem, we have to ask ourselves, what is going on right here? Hopefully, you guys are aware that this is, in fact, division. So this would be n divided by 8 is equal to negative 1 divided by 4. So since we are dividing, we're going to need to do the opposite. Okay, what is the opposite of dividing? Multiplication. Okay, this would be multiplication. Okay, so this over here is just going to leave us with n. Now, negative 1 over 4 times 8. I'll give you guys a quick fractions lesson if you forget. Anytime we're multiplying fractions, we're just going to multiply straight across. Okay, so 1 times 8 would be our negative 8. Remember that this is negative. And then 1 times 4 would just give us 4. Okay, now I do want you to reduce this. So negative 8 divided by negative 4 would give us negative 2. Okay, so our final answer here is going to be n is equal to negative 2. All right, moving on. Next one here. Okay, again, nothing's changed. Let's find that present. Looks like our present is right here, okay? So I'm going to read this to you, and pay attention to the way that I read this. This is 3/5 k is equal to 6. 3/5 k is equal to 6, okay? So what I'm saying here is that we have a fraction, 3/5, right? And we're multiplying that fraction by k, and that is equal to 6, okay? Notice what I said. I said we were multiplying. This is a multiplication right here. 3/5 is division, right? That's a fraction, that's dividing. However, 3/5 k is multiplying that 3/5 that we have by k. All right, so there's two things that we can do here. Since we're multiplying, we can actually just divide this, and that is okay. So let's go ahead and do that. If we wanted to divide over here, we would just draw our line, and we are dividing by 3/5. Okay, over here, draw our line, and we are dividing by 3/5. Okay, so our 3/5 on the left side are taken care of. That's going to equal 1. So we're just going to be left with k. Now, 6 divided by 3/5. Okay, quick fractions lesson again. Whenever we're dividing fractions, it's what we do is we actually multiply by the reciprocal. So if you remember, the reciprocal is the flipped version of that fraction. Also, guys, I'm 100% okay with you putting this in the calculator. I don't have one with me right now, so that's why I'm not using one. So I'm showing you guys in case you're interested. But if you want to just put this in the calculator, that would be okay too. So as you can see here, our answer, 6 times 5 when we multiply across is 30. 1 times 3 when we multiply across the bottom will be 3. And then 30 divided by 3 would actually be 10. Okay, so our final answer here is k equals 10. Okay, I would not accept any sort of fraction. I want you guys to make sure that we have that final answer. All right. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, pause this, and try to figure out this second example here. All right, let's take a look at it. So again, this looks very similar to our first one. As you can see, we have a 2/3 right next to our b here. So I'm actually going to draw parentheses around it to help us see that this is one fraction, one division problem, and we are multiplying that by b. Okay. Again, same thing as we did above. All we need to do is divide by 2/3. So we're going to divide both sides by 2/3 because whatever you do to the one side, you have to do to the other. I'm just going to be left with b over here. Now I'm going to have to do some quick math over here for us to get this. So 3/2. This is going to give us -3/8. Okay. So our final answer here should be -3/8. Okay, moving on. Two-step equations. Okay, so we have used something in the past, probably in 7th and 8th grade, called PEMDAS that helps us with order of operations, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, all that good stuff. Now, since we are solving, we're going to want to use something called SADMAP. Okay, and if you notice, all of these letters are still the same. SS, this is literally the exact same thing, just backwards. So this would be subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponent, and parentheses. Okay, so this is what we're going to use in order to do two-step equations. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and write that at the top. I think this is a good thing to have in your notes as well. Make sure you're writing down these examples. Okay, so first things first. let's find our present. And it looks like our present has a little friend right there. Okay, looks like our present has a little friend. Now, the question is, we found our present. What's going on with our present? What do we have around this present that's on the outside of the present? So it looks like we have a +4. Okay, now we have to ask ourselves, we need to do subtraction and addition first. Does this fall under that category? Yes, it does. Okay, so we have an addition here. We're going to have to do the opposite of addition, which would be subtraction. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, subtract 4 from both sides. That's going to get rid of our 4's there. We are going to be left with 8x is equal to 20. Okay, now we need to go ahead and think about our x right here. What's going on with our x? Why is it the way it is? This is because this is 8 times x right now. That's what this is. 8 times x. So what do we do when we have multiplication? We have to do the opposite, which is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides here by 8. Okay. So when we do that, we can go ahead and just give a decimal here. I'm going to give us 2.5. Okay, that would be our answer for this, 2.5. Okay, so there's your first example there of a two-step equation. Let's look at 11. I have a few more left after this. Now, this one I don't want you to do quite yet because this one is a little tricky. Let's go ahead and locate this x. Now, there's some stuff going on here, okay? For our x plus 3 divided by 4 is equal to 5. Most of us would say in SATMAP, right? Most of us would probably say that we need to deal with this 3 first, right? I think that's what a lot of us would say. But actually, that is not the case. So since this x plus 3 is kind of like one, it's kind of like one big equation almost, because this whole thing is being divided by 4. Okay, so since this x plus 3, since the entire thing is being divided by 4, you can kind of think of it like this. X plus 3 divided by 4 is equal to 5. Okay, as you can see, these are parentheses, which in SATMAP that tells us we're going to have to do this last. We would need to deal with any sort of subtraction and addition, and there are some inside the parentheses, but I don't see any outside, so we're good on that. Division, multiplication. Do we have any division going on here? Hopefully you said yes, okay? Our division would be that bar right there. That tells us that we are dividing by 4, okay? So since we are dividing by 4, we're going to need to do the opposite, which would be multiply by 4, okay? We're going to want to multiply by 4, and then we're going to want to make sure we hit that on both sides. So whatever you do to one side, got to do to the other. Those are going to cancel, okay? So we're going to be left with x plus 3 is equal to 20. And now that we are on the last step here, we can go ahead and just get this x by itself. As you can see, this is just a quick plus 3 that's going on here. We're going to need to do the opposite of adding 3. What's the opposite of adding 3? That would be subtracting 3. Okay, so our final answer here is going to be x equals 17. All right. Okay, now solving this one. So x over 4 plus 8 is equal to 16. Let's go ahead and draw a little box around. This will be our last one. Okay, I'm going to draw a box around this whole thing. Okay, Again, I'm going to write our SADMAP at the top. Okay. The reason I'm drawing this box around everything is because these are attached. Same thing. I think it was 8x that I did a few questions ago. I boxed both of them in together because they are going together right now. Now, outside of this box, outside of this box, do we have any sort of subtraction or addition? Those would be the first two of our SADMAP here. Hopefully you said yes. We have some addition right here. So we're going to need to do the opposite. All right, we need to subtract 8. Whatever we do to one side, we've got to do to the other. So this is going to be x over 4 is equal to 8. Okay, x over 4 is equal to 8. Now, we are actually going to have to multiply both sides by 4. Okay, this right here is x divided by 4. We need to do the opposite of dividing by 4, which would be multiplying by 4, which will give us x is equal to 32. Okay, x is equal to 32. Okay, hope that helped.